one about bright star. Choose the wrong answer. Take a look. Not too bad. We are still waiting for some to come, but yeah, some of you got the answer correct. Yes, the two lines here are definitely not rhymed. Swell and umbrella. Oh no, sorry. Able and swell. Breast, rest, breast, dash. These are rhymed lines, but we have able and swell unrhymed, so it's not really regular. Okay. This breaking of the rhyme scheme, able, changeable, and swell, is what is the most significant in the rhyme scheme of this poem. Okay. The rest of its, the rest of the interpretation is correct. For instance, it is paradoxical that Staffordness is juxtaposed with transience of life, or the beauty is put together with the transient beauty of this lover is associated with the love, the speaker's Staffordness. Okay, so this is a paradoxical idea. Okay, the next one. La Belle dans son mercy. These are the last three sections of the poem, the ballad. Section 12 is the last section, this one. Okay. Okay, let's take a look. Okay. Here, the nice repetition of the words, the sedge is withered from the lake and no birds sing, it doesn't show that he's insincere. There's no indication of his lack of sincerity. Rather, you know, this repetition together with the other kinds of repetition provides a kind of nightmarish tone to the whole poem. That it seems that the knight is in a trance, that the whole thing is something repetitive, and he can never move out of the trance. And that's why the vision he has in the dream of the place is the same with where he is after he wakes out of the dream. You know, he's both by the cold hillside, you know, in the dream, and when he goes comes out of the dream, you know, he's both on the cold hillside. Okay, so there is this predominant pattern of repetition, that there's this repetition in his lines, and then the experience is repeated. You know, it's not just his own experience, it's also the other knights and kings and princes, warriors. You know, so it seems to be describing a kind of, if not universal, then a common experience that a lot of people suffer from. And that's why the poem, you shouldn't just relate it to Keats' own life. You know, he's describing something quite general. It could be about unrequited love, or it could be about impossible love, or it could be just about some type of impossible pursuit, you know, some difficult quest that a lot of people get obsessed by. Okay, so I think the repetition here suggests a kind of obsessiveness, or thrall, trance. You know, that this pursuit possess or imprison those pursuers. Okay, the knights, the queens, the kings, the princes, the warriors, etc. Okay. Yes, the beginning and the end of the poem is in the present tense. So it seems that this is a permanent present, that the knight is wandering, you know, by the hill forever and ever. Okay. Yes, because of the night marriage image, he first sees a group of people, all pale like him. Okay, and then it's like a camera zoom into the lips, their mouths gaping wide. So here the image becomes kind of nightmarish, and also symbolic. Okay, I think this is what makes a literary ballad different from a medieval ballad. In medieval ballad, we have all plot, very interesting story for us to ponder over. But here, this one, and also the one that I mentioned several times without having you read it, the Rime of Ancient Mariner. I think the experiences described in both poems are symbolic. Okay. Okay, the next one, Ozymandias. So which of the following is not ironic? Okay. Yeah, good. Number 3, the poem is told by a traveler to a narrator. This suggests a narrative frame that we have talked about several times. A lot of poems we read, also Frankenstein, which we are going to read today, the novel, has a narrative frame. And the narrative frame serves different purposes in different poems. Okay. And in this poem, it serves the function. It serves the function of distanciation. To make what is told distant from the present time. Okay, next one. About dramatic monologue. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, not too bad. Yes, what is very interesting about dramatic monologue is that it is a monologue. It is not a dialogue. So the audience does not speak. The audience is all quiet. As a matter of fact, with Ulysses, you sometimes wonder if there is really an audience there. Okay, we can say that the mariners, the sailors that go with Ulysses are the listener, but it's not really. They are not important, as one that he speaks to. I think he pretty much speaks to himself. But this is something open to interpretation. You can also say that Telemachus is also with him when he is in the palace, and then he moves on to the seashore, to the port, to speak to the mariners. So I think there are different interpretations, but the audience role in Ulysses is not as important as the one in My Last Duchess, which we are going to read today. Okay, the rest of it should be easy. Yes, there is a. Sorry, it's the plot. As well as the dramatic scene is for us to figure out. It's suggested by the monologue, but it's not really completely described. Okay. And the speaker is usually, argumentative, presenting an argument. But then sometimes there is dramatic irony on him or her himself, the speaker himself. Okay, the last one. So you see which matching is wrong. Okay. Let's take a look. Okay. Let me see which one you chose. He works his work in mind. He is the son, Telemachus, and we say that Tennyson seems to be ambiguous about his views of Telemachus. He at first says that he is blameless. Telemachus is blameless, is responsible, But then at the end of that stanza, he worked his work, I mine. There is a great separation between the two to show their differences. Okay, and I think that this kind of distinction is condescending. Showing that he thinks that his life, his career is better. Okay. Yes. Number 2 is correct. Meat and dole unequal laws unto a savage race. So this suggests that he feels that his present life is boring. Okay. This is the end of the poem, where he makes a last effort to strive to pluck up the courage to start another journey. So one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will. So you see that he moves back and forth between the assertion of power, the assertion of courage, and the awareness of death. Okay, so the in the previous parts of this poem, we see stanzas, lines of courage and lines of awareness of death. But then here, the alteration becomes faster. 就是一行一行之间的不同，好，就两个 idea 会被 mix 在一起，好。And then in the last line, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. No, the sound drops all of a sudden at the end. And then at the end, there is no to yield. No, there's no sense of power. Although the meaning says not to yield, but then it seems to yield. It seems that the sound yields to old age, to the awareness of death. Okay, so just read it yourself. To strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. There is this dropping of the tone that suggests the ambiguity of the speaker. Okay, so this last few lines does not suggest only strong determination and energies. There's actually not too much energy left here. Okay, yes. Number 4. Number 4. Yes, this is when they are at the port, in the evening, about to set sail to the sea, and Ulysses describes the evening scene. Okay, and it shows it is symbolic of their status, that they are old. Both he and the mariners are old. So the long day winds, the slow moon climb, the nasal sound and the open vowel, suggest the slowness, the lack of energy. Okay, so all of this, the sound and the sense suggest old age. Okay, that's it for this part. We have a lot to do today, as we always do. Okay, we need to finish my last touches. I don't really think that it is difficult, but still, to be responsible, I think that I should explain to you, and then we'll move on to Frankenstein. I'll try to do a good introduction, and also we'll cover the first part, the first few letters, and chapter 1 and 2. Okay, and then hopefully by the end of today's class, we'll have some time to talk more about Teach and Learn workstation. Okay. Okay, so don't forget that you should, by this time, after you have read the poem, you should be able to answer these questions. I want to leave you some time to do discussion in groups about the activity we are going to have. So I'm not going to ask you to answer the questions, but these are really basic questions. You should be able to answer now. For instance, who, when, why, and why. Who, where, when, and why of the poem, and the role of the listener. I know that you may need to read it a few times to figure out, who the listener is. But it should be revealed by the end of the poem, when the Duke, make sure that in your midterm exam, you don't talk about the duck. Every year, there were students talking about the Duchess and the duck. Not the duck, okay, the Duke, okay. Okay. So yes, by the end of the poem, the Duke talks about his next bride and the dowry he's going to get. So you should know that this must be the one sent by the family to discuss the details of the marriage. Okay. Okay, so the person is an envoy, 使节. Okay, so this listener, what role he plays in this poem is also important. What a last duchess looks like. What is she like? Okay, why is she the last duchess? And do you find her a flirt or one with kind of genuine kindness to all the people around her? Okay, so these are the questions we can try to answer about this character who is absent already. And then the Duke's attitude toward his Duchess. Okay, and also toward the painting of the Duchess. Okay, and then altogether, what kind of person is the Duke, and how does the ending reveal more about him? Okay, I guess the poem, there were only maybe two things which might be difficult for you. One is that the sentence is quite long. The Duke speaks in a kind of ornate and grandiose style. Okay, 就是他的句子很长，然后中间那个很曲折，就用这种比较那个 grand rhetoric， 也是在显示他的身份。That he is one with knowledge, one with power. Okay. And the other is the context, that this is actually in the 16th century Italy. Like Ferrara is the place. Fra means brother. Okay, I guess it's Italian. Okay. Anyway, so these are the few words you might not know. Okay. And here, let me read and explain the poems for you. And I marked in pink color the descriptions about the Duchess. And green color, some words suggestive of the Duke's personality or the Duke's power. Okay. So the beginning of this poem is a little bit similar to Flea. In the beginning of Flea by John Donne, the speaker said, "Mark the flea." So that's a direct imperative. 就是一个祈使句, directly asking the audience to do something. Okay, and here, that's my last Duchess. So that, it doesn't seem like the beginning of a poem or an article. Usually when you begin your own essay, you won't say that. So it seems like here the Duke speaks in the middle. It's in the middle of his talk. And then at a point, he then points to the painting of the Duchess to describe what the Duchess is like. Okay, so that's my last Duchess painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. I call that piece a wonder now. Okay, and then comma. It's colon. Colon means that what follows is an explanation of why it is a piece of wonder. Okay. Frappendo's hands works busily a day, and there she stands. Okay, so Frappendo definitely is the painter. So it's like in Ozymandias we have a sculptor with magnificent scales portraying the ambition of Ozymandias. And here we have Frappendo painting the Duchess so that she looks as if alive on her painting. You will please sit and look at her. So definitely the Duke is demonstrating the painting. Wanting the listener, the audience, to pay closer attention to the painting. I said Frappendo by design, for never read strangers like you that picture countenance, the depth of passion of it, the depth and passion of his earnest glance, but to myself they turn, never but. Okay, so this is something you always have to figure out yourself. You know, when you get a long sentence, either in an essay, in a prose, or in a poem, you know, when you see never, you know, you should look for but or without, right? Double negative. 双重否定. Okay. So here he said, I said Frappendo because Frappendo is a religious person by design. I intentionally say so. Why? Because everyone, every stranger like you, who looks at that, the picture countenance in the image of the Duchess, and then this is the opposite. That picture countenance, the depth and passion of his earnest glance. So whoever gets to read the picture countenance or read the depth and passion of his earnest glance, you know, they will turn to me and ask. Do you get my idea? 就这个是 the depth and passion of his earnest glance is 同位语。The picture countenance or a list of the things that you read. 同位语或者是 list 都可以。它的那个是这个的受词 never read that picture countenance, the depth and passion of its earnest glance, but turn to myself. But they turn to myself. Okay, let's finish the line before we move on to the parenthesis part.